Hi everyone, it's Roger here from What's On at DisneyPlus.com. It's time for a quickly live Q&A. So we're going to be here for about 45 minutes to an hour answering your questions. So we've got lots of questions that are in advance already. If you are in the live chat, let me know if you can hear me after last week's escapade. So each week we do this live Q&A, and as I said, we get questions that I've sent in from our YouTube channel members and our patrons who help support the channel, help support the website and the podcast and everything that I do. So a huge thank you to everyone for becoming a member. You can do some from as little as $2 a month. I mean, this really helps because it just takes that reliance away from like advertising and stuff. So again, a big thank you. Quite a few people in the live chat already. We've got Bubba Trolling, Caleb, Knoxwave, and Sosuna. So hello to all of you. Also questions today, again, a lot about Hulu, obviously with the whole Hulu on Disney Plus stuff coming up in December. Lots of questions like that. So there's lots and lots of questions in there. So I'm just waiting to see if anyone just drops in live. Yep, we're good. We are live. We got 62 of us in here, so that's all good to go. Right, so I assume you can all hear me because let's jump into it. And Aaliyah's just joined in as well, so big hello to you. Yes, and you can hear me loud and clear. Thank you very much, Chris. I just didn't want to carry on. All right, so let's start off with Daniel's question. Why do you think Disney is not announcing more Hulu on Disney Plus details, such as when there will be a launch or when the launch is this due to Comcast? So, Hulu on Disney Plus is set to launch in the United States in December. So this is going to allow selected Hulu content to be available within Disney Plus to people that are subscribed to the Disney bundle. So basically, if you've got Hulu and Disney Plus together, looks like you're going to have to have them as part of the bundle in the same account. So if you've got like different email addresses, this might not going to work. So they said it's going to be launching in beta in this December with a full launch in March. They have not announced much more information. Last week, they put this information out there. There was a horrible load of stories all over the weekend with people completely misunderstanding what was happening and talking about Disney Plus closing and being replaced with a brand new app that was both of them merged. And it's like, no, they're just updating Disney Plus. So it's called, Bob Iger referred to it as a number of occasions to Hulu on Disney Plus, similar to how we've seen ESPN Plus on Hulu and FX on Hulu. And so that's how they're kind of going to be wording it. No data, no information on this yet. I suspect the Comcast situation is probably making it much harder. When they've got full control in like 2 weeks. In 2 weeks' time, they'll have full control. I would not be at all surprised if this launches the second or even the third week of December. I don't think it's necessarily going to launch that first week, but they could just pull whoop, there you go. It's happening because, well, we've been kind of talking about. I think they're going to need to get people aware of it, but I also, in some ways, think that Disney's better off not doing too much promotion in some ways. You're better off just doing a blast, maybe the week that it happens, or even the week, just like 2 weeks before, and start setting up the tone, sending emails, doing some advertising. Obviously, as well, the strikes are over and stuff now, so they're going to probably be able to get some actors in to do some voiceover work and do something like that. So that's something that they probably needed the strike to kind of be over for them to record it. And maybe if they're going to do any videos or anything like that, any way of explaining what's happening. Again, internationally, do not worry. It doesn't affect us really at all. We've already got most of this content. It comes through the Star Hub. But I think this is the key thing, is they probably needed to get, people in to start doing the voiceovers, but also prep that information, get it ready to go. But I wouldn't be at all surprised if we get into December the 1st, they buy it out, and then maybe that day or that afternoon, they then announce what's going on, give everybody a week or two's notice, and then do it. That'll be... and also, we've got Thanksgiving this week. It's probably not a good week to really put out a lot of stuff. All the focus really is on Wish. So I'm not expecting anything this week with Thanksgiving coming up. It's going to be a short week for most Americans. I mean, they could put out some information on Monday or Tuesday to kind of let people like fester over it. But I could see them waiting until after Thanksgiving and letting everybody know next year. Sorry, not next year, next month. Kelly said in reply to the question, I think Disney's marketing strategy has been bizarre this year. Long answers, they're not fully ready. Iger did set realistic expectations that March will be when the Hulu Disney Plus integration is fully can't even speak today. It's fully implemented, and December is more of a soft launch to prepare US consumers for this future. I wouldn't be at all surprised if they go very softly with the initial launch and start rolling out stuff like bit by bit. Maybe go with some of the big popular shows, maybe like Grey's Anatomy, Station 19. He already mentioned The Bear, Only Murders in the Building. I would not be at all surprised if they hold back on some of the titles. Pam and Tommy, Welcome to Chippendales might not necessarily be on there. Maybe the FX stuff. Maybe they're going to do it slowly. Or I just think they're probably more likely going to be, we're not really going to get into it until maybe the second or the third week of December. So Ricardo says the end of December. I think it's going to be in the middle. There is an element of, again, Disney's going to sort of shut down for like the holidays. They're going to want to make sure that it's working. My gut feeling is that if it is literally just a reskin version of the Star Hub, they've already know it. Most of it works, so that's a lot easier on them. But so it's going to be interesting to see what comes in. Bubba Trolling says, what date do you think? So if I'm just going to have a look here at my calendar. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if it was maybe around the 12th of December as a pure guess, or around, because they tend to seem to like doing things on like a Tuesday. I don't think they're going to go into like the 18th, 19th of December, because then you're running into being very close to the holidays. But if they announce it on the 1st of the 1st and say basically 2 weeks notice, do a big PR spin, get the emails out, get the trailers going, get it all over social media, because they've been laying the ground for this through through reports and stuff online for months. They have been doing the groundwork for it. Elias says the week of the 10th is an excellent guess. That's going to be my guess of when that's going to come in. Elliot says, do you think that when Disney Plus and Hulu fully merge, there will also be a price increase for the ad tier? No, this is good. I think, to be honest, $9.99 with ads, $19.99 with no ads. That $19.99 is already expensive enough, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if there was a little sale or something that went on at the time. But I mean, they might even be waiting till Black Friday to kind of announce some kind of what they're doing to get a deal on it. Maybe that's how they're going to look at it going in. But no, I don't think, I'm not really sure right now that the industry or the people will take another price hike from Disney in the next year. I mean, they could do one next December, but I mean, I think they should really, I think they've done enough. I think if they're getting up that dual bundle in the US up to $20, because that's essentially what the merge is going to be. I mean, I think that's going to be a hard sell, unless the only other way I can see them doing it is when the full merger happens, is America then ends up getting the same new system that we've got, where you've got standard with ads, standard, and basic. Well, so not basic, premium. So you've got like 3 different tiers. That might be their way of pushing the premium price up, but keeping the standard, like the little trickery that they did just before here. But I don't think they really need that that bit of information right now. Keenan says, what are your predictions for Black Friday streaming deals? I wouldn't be at all surprised if they did another $1.99 or maybe even a $4.99 Disney streaming bundle deal. Get both for $4.99, $5.99, something along those lines, to try and push that bundle. That might be a way of doing it. Matt says, what are your predictions for Disney Plus in 2024? So I think obviously we got the big shift is going to be a March for the dual system. I think maybe by the end of 2024, we might get an idea of when they're going to do the full merger and kind of sort stuff out. I think we're going to see a big shift in focused on just their marketing is going to really shift over to like pushing Disney Plus for everything for their content, and that kind of being a little bit more of a clearer line for, like, Abbott Elementary available now on Hulu or on Disney Plus, or Hulu on Disney Plus. That kind of wording on like everything on ABC, and just getting that out there that they're going to be throwing that Disney Plus in to make you start thinking, oh, there's much more on there than just Star Wars and Marvel. Then there's going to be a lot less of stuff as well. Mahmoud says, with Disney announcing their late winter ABC slate, will they arrive next day on Disney Plus along with Hulu? I would assume that kind of content will be arriving on Disney Plus at the same time as it does on Hulu. I can't imagine they wouldn't want to do that, because that would be like their key selling point. So I'd imagine that would be what would happen. Tim says, with Bob Iger saying on Good Morning America that Frozen 4 may be in the works, when do you think we'll see it coming to movie theaters? I would be surprised if it hit our screens before 2028. Just a pure guess, because I think we're at least looking at 2025 for Frozen 3, if we're really lucky, maybe. And then they're going to probably, I can't imagine them doing it the year after. I think they might want to give it I think they're very much aware of the fact that franchise fatigue doesn't necessarily need them to bring them out too quick together. So maybe that's how I would look at it. Kelly says, Cord Cut News reported that Disney is planning to shut down its channels in most of Asia and said to keep an eye on the US. So I will say I did see this one, but it was based on an article from a few months ago. So I'd actually already had reported on it a while ago. Most of these channels in Asia have already shut down. But with regards to what channels in the US are much more likely to close, I think we're going to see Freeform, Nat Geo Wild, Nat Geo Mondo. I've got no idea what that one is. Maybe Disney Junior, but that one might have a chance of staying around. I think Disney XD will go. I think you're going to be down to Nat Geo, Disney Channel, FX, and ABC. I think those are those key ones. But let us know what you think. Ahmed says, do you think that Frozen 3 and 4 will be a two-part story, like Across the Spider-Verse and Beyond the Spider-Verse, or two separate stories? I think they might be a single story, but it might follow on to it. I don't know. I don't know if they do a two-parter. I don't know. I'm not sure how people are going to react to it. I think people do like having a single story. And also, if you call it Frozen 3 Part 1, I don't know. That'd be a bit awkward, wouldn't it? Let's see what we've got here. Babak says, why is the Christmas Day parade arriving on the day after Christmas? Doesn't that defeat the purpose? Yes, I did have that exact same thought. It is like airing live on ABC, or not live because they've recorded it already. I don't get it. I don't get why they didn't do that. I mean, you would have thought Christmas Day morning it would have made much more sense to have it available. This is just this continued trend of Disney still kind of putting linear, just like, I don't know if it's still contracts that they've got in place that this stuff has to happen. But yeah, it is extremely annoying. So Suna says, do you think we'll get next day episode from Hulu on Disney Plus? I think we will do for the shows that are on there. I don't think I'm going to get it for everything, but I think that'll be it. Let's see what else you've got here in the questions. Knoxway says, I think it's the time that Disney needs to start marketing Hulu on Disney Plus since we're almost at the end of the year. Yeah, I don't think it's a bad idea for them just to get Thanksgiving and Black Friday out the way, because there's a lot of advertising and it's expensive to advertise right now. Mr. Jacob says, did you know that the Wiggles used to be on Playhouse Disney? Yes, I've heard that a lot of people are interested in the Wiggles. But I think I don't think they've got any rights for any of that stuff. Ricardo says, my prediction for Marvel Studios on Disney Plus in 2024 include Echo, X-Men 97. That is coming. Ironheart and Agatha Weekly. I think Ironheart might slip back into 2025. I think that one might be bumped back. Depends if they're doing some reshoots or something like that, but don't know. Babak says, what other Disney animated movies do you think do you need more sequels? I don't know. It's like a weird thing. I'm kind of at a point where I think maybe like you got to look at like what's been successful and what's working with the generation, and also now you need to be looking at not what necessarily the kids of like 10-15 years ago are they interested in. It's what the kids of in 5 years time, what are they going to be into, what franchises could do with more. I think Toy Story is already established that that can bring stuff in. I think Cars can do stuff. Maybe I don't know if I would do an Incredibles right now. I mean, I would say it would have made a lot of sense, but Incredibles 3 now with all this, with too many superhero movies. I don't know if that might have been like just, and Big Hero 6 the same, just like, nah, leave that. To be honest, I'm quite happy with having just some original stuff. I don't necessarily think we need to have so much. Just, I know they want to go. I mean, by the time we get Zootopia, 2 Frozen films, and a Toy Story, that's probably, and along with Inside Out and Wish and Elio, that's probably the next 3-4 years. I think that's probably enough. Ricardo says, after the buyout from the last third of Hulu, Comcast would still remain the rights for some legacy content, mainly the OTV show. Yeah, because obviously that's not included in it. I know there's this kind of idea of like people could like add this in and add that in, and you, well, I want that and you want this. It's like, it is, but how complicated would that make it? Matt says we've seen some more classic stuff from Fox on Disney Plus. I would hope so. I would imagine that kind of stuff is more likely going to start happening once they've got the unified one system around the world. Makes it a lot easier. Of, you know, when they put a movie on there that everyone has access to, it might be a bit easier. So Cena says, what non-Disney content that they don't own will they add to Disney Plus? Schitt's Creek. At first, I would go with the idea that if they, I would assume none, and that it will still be on Hulu, because not everything's going to be on there, and they're going to be in that like beta stage for a few months where they can sort stuff out. So that's definitely interesting. But yeah, so that's where I would imagine they're going to stick to first, is just concentrating on the stuff that they own and pushing that. If they've got a long license on something and they've maybe like a recent stuff, they might have already put that in. They might have already put that in phase that they can do what they want with it. I think like Sony's deal was quite vague in the fact that they could put it where they wanted. Kayla says, hopefully Marvel Studios doesn't take the wrong lessons and make less women-led projects, since they've alienated future audiences from short-term profit. That budgets need to be disciplined. So I'd say there's a few things from the Marvel's release that they have to take a look at. And there is no one reason why the Marvels has failed. There's multiple issues that they have got to deal with. And they've each got to be dealt with in different ways. There is no just one quick fix that's going to fix it. I do think, you know, the whole thing of it being a female-led movie not doing so well, that might have had something into it, and it might have had an impact. I mean, we didn't necessarily see that with Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. We didn't see that with Captain Marvel. We've not seen it, but we've seen it with other films. You know, we've seen it with like Suicide Squad. Oh, not Suicide Squad. The Birds of Prey. That will, you know, but we have had successes. I don't think they're going to take that necessarily away, but the audience just isn't there for it right now. I do think they have to maybe go back to who is their target audience, and who are they making this for? And that goes for Disney, I think, on all projects, not just Marvel. I think this goes for Star Wars, Pixar, Disney princesses. I think they need to be a little bit better at, like, I know it's not what, you know, the idea of like you make everything for everyone, and that's what you really want to do. But sometimes making a show or a film and having a target audience isn't a bad thing. You know, there's nothing wrong with having a target audience at who you're in. Doesn't mean that nobody else can watch it, but I do think they're going to have to look at that. Yeah, and there's just so many issues. I think the too many Disney Plus shows, the lower quality has had an impact. People feeling they can skip stuff. Because there does seem to be like with, and I definitely feel like the Marvels has kind of had a little bit of the same thing like Elemental had, of a lot of people that have seen it have been enjoying it. And I think Wish is going to have the same thing. But there is now an audience online that will crap all over it because it's popular. It's popular to crap on Disney now. And that is, and Marvel and Star Wars, and they're going to continue to do so. And, you know, I think it's right that, you know, we look at like this, like what's happened with Marvels and go, what didn't work with this, what did. I enjoyed the movie. I thoroughly enjoyed the Marvels. I thought it was great. Miss Marvel was a great character, but I do not think Miss Marvel is going to be popular enough to pull in audiences. I think she'll be great in ensembles. I think she'll be great in like Avengers films and Disney and Young Avengers and Disney Plus series, and you can put her in team ups. I think that will work great because she was fantastic, but I don't think Miss Marvel is going to sell a movie for people to go to, and that's just what seems to have happened. I think Captain Marvel is in that same thing as well, where I think she needs to be in the Avengers films and in team ups. I think again, it's shown that there is problems there that Marvel need to address. Just sticking your head in the sand and hoping it goes away, I don't think it's going to work. They're going to have to do multiple different things. It is, and again, it's not just short-term budget. They have to look long-term. It's also and I think this comes down to targeting of making the toys and the merchandise and everything that goes along with it it's a real tricky one, and it is disheartening to see what's happened to the Marvels, because I thought it was a fun film. I thought it was a really fun film. Knoxwave says, I honestly like the idea of the What If Season 2 having a release new episode every single day, but maybe do the same thing for X-Men 97. I don't think so. I think it's going to be a bit overkill, to be honest. I think it makes sense a little bit like with the holidays. It maybe with it being, with people at home, a new episode every day. I think it's going to be difficult for people to keep people engaged, but people are more at home. I think, X-Men 97. We used to wait every Saturday morning when it came out. When it came out the first time, we had to wait a week. That was what we had to do, and we loved it. I don't think there's anything wrong in that. I think that's going to be a thing with that one, really. Ricardo says, is in the supposed case Disney sells Hotstar in India, would that mean they rebrand for the international channels that were named Star Channel? What other name could they use? Well, it depends if some of the Star channels that are showing like Indian content, or if they're just like sports and stuff, maybe they just rebrand them. The sports channels could become ESPN. Other channels could just become something else. They might not even still exist in a few years' time, let's be honest. There's probably also going to be like a couple of years window for them to rename stuff, a bit like with Fox. Not everything got changed overnight. They might have a little bit of a window to stretch it out. But if they did sell, Disney Star on a whole, I could see the Star brand, I think the Star brand is going to vanish most internationally anyway. Ricardo says, third-party content on Disney Plus could be the ones confirmed with worldwide deals, Sony content, anime, Doctor Who. Well, here, every country generally has some licensed content. Like here in the UK, we have lots of films and stuff and series that are licensed. There's nothing wrong with having it on there. And I think you are going to see some licensed content on there, but I think there's going to be a lot of stuff coming off of Hulu because they don't want to be paying out to the other platforms to having access. I think the Fox content is probably more likely going to be on there as well. Aaliyah says, those that demanded Disney do diversity rarely put the money where the mouth is, which is Disney's beginning to take notice, unfortunately. But I don't blame Disney for walking away from it. I think you've got to do it well. You've got to do it properly. And I think everything right now, it's balance. There's a balance of the force, and they've got to find the line. So the way I look at it right now is they've got to find what's good, what isn't. And I think some of the shows and films, they've gone too much, and they need to pull it back. And it's about finding the balance. And I think that's the key thing of just doing it for a tick box exercise isn't working. And it was never going to work because it was creative wise, didn't make a lot of sense. But you still need those different stories. You still need that in there. I still want to be able to watch a show like Heartstoppers or Love Victor. I want those stories still to be told, and I want different international audiences and stuff, and I want different stories, things like Flaming Hot. Still want that, but it has to be right. It has to be, the story has to be the key thing. I think that all has to kick into it. Susuna says, how much Hulu content will be on Disney Plus in December and in the fall launch? Honestly, we don't know yet. I think we've got to look at it and go, my initial guess would be they're going to maybe do softly, a little bit by bit, maybe not do anything that's going to shock any parents too much. Maybe they don't want to put like Alien and Die Hard. I can't wait for Americans to have Die Hard on Christmas Day like I do, because that's fun. I think, it's going to be difficult. But yeah, hopefully we get in a lineup pretty soon. Barbara Trilling says, I believe how media companies close down channels is to bundle with the cable companies for streaming. I think the trouble is a lot of these cable companies don't really want all these channels, so they're trying to get rid of some of them. They don't want all this bloated stuff, and it would be much easier to sell a cable network with much more stuff in it. I think that's the key thing. Kaylee says, I remember Larson and Villani respectfully said there are plans for the future in the interviews, but cards are tight to their vet. Well, they would do. They have to. That said, they could follow the Coulson Fury route for both of them. The thing is, they can put them in other team-up films and other things without putting them as the lead, and they can still be a part of the MCU. You could put Captain Marvel in Avengers Secret War Part 1 and 2. You know, she can make her one of the key members. Great. You could put Miss Marvel in there as a member. You could put her in the Young Avengers or whatever else. They have places in the future. I just don't think we're going to see a Captain Marvel or a Miss Marvel film I don't think we're going to see one for at least a decade at all. Ricardo says, I think X-Men 97 will be released weekly. Like I said, it can be re-released around May before the premiere. I think it's going to be a little bit earlier. I wouldn't be too surprised if it was February. Stelian says they could use the FX ESPN brand for that would work. That would work. They recently rebranded a TV channel to FX in Poland. That's a good one. That's definitely a better way. Aaliyah says, well said, a balance is needed for diversity, but they also remember quality is the story is the key thing. Knoxway says, do you think they'll add Morbius and Spider-Verse films on Disney Plus next year? So in the United States, they will. Morbius should come under it because I think they've got the pay 2 window after it leaves Netflix, and the same thing for the Spider-Verse film. So they should be on there in the US within like 2 years after release, but only in the US. And then it might be 3 or 4 or 5 years internationally. Kelly says, speaking of Doctor Who, I like that the BBC made a deal with Tubi to license their past Doctor Who seasons. This helps since free streamers are going to rise with paid streamers. I did think it was odd because at first I was like, I went in and checked to make sure that it was just the classic Doctor, because I think it would have been better had the new one. So maybe I don't know if Max has didn't have the rights to it, or if they've sold it back, or they've subleased it out to Tubi. That might be a way that they've done it. Mr. Jacob says, do you know the Wiggles live from Disneyland from 1998? I'll be honest, in 1998, I was 18 years old and I didn't have no interest in the Wiggles. So I'm a little bit, so I'm a little bit too old to kind of know too much about the Wiggles, I'll be honest. So Suna says, when do you think Modern Family will be added to Disney Plus in the US after the Hulu Peacock deal ends in January? I think you are right. I think you're probably going to hit the nail on its head. But it's one of the most popular shows internationally, so Disney might be able to do something with it. Knoxway says, with the actor strike ending, I hope Sony moves up Craven the Hunter to maybe spring, since Warner Brothers moved up June to... Yeah, but I think they only moved Dune 2 weeks. So... And I think with Craven, I think they might have to do a little bit of reshoots or something on it. So that's why they had to push that one back. June 2 is done, I think. All right, let's jump back into some other questions. If you've got any more questions, feel free to keep sending them in. Tim says, with Not Dead Yet season 2 release date released on ABC in the USA, when will we get an international release date on Disney Plus? Well, this will very much depend on a couple of different things. First off, as we all know, trying to predict when international releases for ABC series is very pot shot. And also it will depend on which country you're in, because you're in Australia, Tim, so you tend to get a very different schedule to me here in the UK. Sometimes things arrive the same time. Sometimes things arrive here in the UK. They're particularly bad at holding on to an entire series so they can do a binge drop. That seems to be quite standard here. I am really hoping with the Hulu on Disney Plus launch that things are going to start speeding up, because this content is going to be loaded into Disney Plus much faster. And that's my real hope that might be the way of moving forward, that that's all going to be in there. Keenan says, will Disney's D23 Expedition celebrate the end at the end next year? So I'm guessing you're thinking I think it is, will Disney's 100th anniversary celebration end at D23 Expo next year? Yeah, I think we're probably gonna. I wouldn't be at all surprised if when we go into 2024, you're gonna start seeing a little bit less of that Disney 100. I think I saw that they're already starting to some of the merchandise has already started to be reduced. I was able to get hold of some. I'm trying to get hold of the Disney 100 Lorcana set that came out this week. I think I'm gonna have to wait until the beginning of the next month to get one, but I think they are going to start getting that down. There'll be some other celebration, but also the park sometimes and Disney as a whole can't have these celebrations going on indefinitely. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if they start pulling back on that more in 2024. Maybe, maybe at like some of the festivals in the theme parks, they start removing the banners and all the rest of it. I think it will probably start slowing down when we get into 2024. Bowser says, what if the new proposed deal from the AMPTP does not get approved by the SAG-AFTRA members? I hear a lot of negativity, especially around AI protections. So there's a lot of talk going on right now with SAG where a lot of the members are not happy with the AI rules that got brought in and are suggesting maybe voting no to the SAG. So there is a problem if enough people, if 50% plus one do vote no, then it could send the whole deal back and everything shuts down again and they go. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean they might necessarily go on strike because they might end up making a temporary deal to keep going while they sort out the AI stuff. That could be a way moving forward and go like, okay, everything that we've agreed to you can have, but we need to do more on AI. I think it will go through. I think there's also maybe a little bit of naivety with the concept of AI, of the idea that no AI is going to get used. I don't think that is realistic. I think 100% protecting, I'm totally on SAG's point on all this, and I do understand where people are worried from. But I think the concept that the studios do not use it is not really going to work in the reality. I think we're going to see a lot of rules and stuff coming in with AI over the next year or two, and that will restrict stuff. The buzz around AI might start pulling back a little bit. It's like most things online as well. Sometimes it can be a little bit of a bubble. And I think there are elements of some people online that stirring stuff up because they actually want Hollywood to be shut down and, that kind of anti-establishment, anti-studio stuff. There's a lot of not everyone replying might necessarily be able to vote, and they're just stirring the pot. So you got to look at it both ways. The internet is very weird in that way. Julian says, if Hulu content is being added to Disney Plus, will the price for Disney Plus raise? I don't think we're going to see another price rise at least until next December, at least. I would hope that they don't. I think they've done enough. But their main thing really is going to be trying to get that combination right. Teenan says, I think Disney went overboard with the Disney sequel films. Yeah, I think again they went. All the studios have got lazy, and they all went to the well one too many times. If you look at 2023, and you look at the box office, you can see that audiences have rejected franchises this year. Okay, so and I mean, Barbie and Mario, are still well-established franchises. I think I always find that quite weird when people go, well, they're brands. Like, well, Barbie's had like 50 animated films. Mario's had a live action film as well. Yes, it was the first animated film, but we've seen them on screen before. So Mario was a big success. Oppenheimer and Barbie, I will be honest, I feel that was lightning in a bottle where the Barbieheimer thing, the fear of missing out that people were having and wanting to go cinema, pushed both of those films into the territory which it was. If they been released on different days, I don't think either one of them would have been as close to $1 billion. And I think that fear of missing out, because I had friends talking about it and stuff, and they're like, you never would have gone and seen Oppenheimer. And I don't think they probably would have gone and seen Barbie if it wasn't for all the hype. Ahmad says, do you think after the launch of Hulu on Disney Plus, there will be next day episodes from Fox Channel? I think the Fox stuff probably will do. Connor says, the Daryl spin-off The Walking Dead is currently streaming on Paramount Plus in France. Do you think this could be a precursor to where the spin-offs could air in the UK? I don't know. AMC seem to be leasing out everything all over the place. I don't know. I mean, it'd be interesting if it did turn up there. Mahmoud says, will Jimmy Kimmel Live, Good Morning America, and other morning and late night talk shows from ABC be available next day on Disney Plus along with Hulu? I would hope so. I mean, I do not understand why Jimmy Kimmel Live is not on Disney Plus, and Good Morning America just seems like that is a natural thing to put on there as a live stream. Tim says, in the women's Big Bash League cricket match, there was a Disney Wish logo on the back of the warm-up shirts. Is this Disney putting in advertisements to the movie? Yeah, I think they're doing a lot of, and they probably had to do a lot of this beforehand. Was doing a lot of outside the thinking advertising to reach different audiences, because they weren't guaranteed to have the strike over with when a lot of this stuff would have been planned. So I think they were just kind of putting out the words all over the place to try and get as many people performing this stuff as possible. Matt says, will there be a season 3 of Loki? I don't think so. I think that's pretty much done. Connor says, another Paramount Plus question. What do you think they could do in the UK to improve its position? I get it with Sky Cinema, but there's nothing other than originals to sway people. I'm going to be honest. My Paramount Plus expires this week, and as does my Sky Cinema package. And there's nothing really on Paramount Plus that makes me want to subscribe right now. I haven't watched a lot of the originals, so we've watched a few. Lioness was really good, but I'll be honest, I don't think Paramount Plus is going to be around for much longer. I think it's going to get swallowed up. I don't think it's big enough to become a priority here in the UK. That's my big thing with Paramount Plus. Last of our pre-done questions, and then we'll be live for the rest of the show. Christopher says, do we know when in December the Hulu content will be added, and do you think Hulu will gain subs with it being on Disney Plus? Yeah, I think there's going to be a increase in bundle numbers. Right, let's jump into the questions, see what we got live coming in. So I'm just going to try and find the right one. So Suna says, what day in January do you think the deal will end? I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'm guessing that's regards to Modern Family. Expect the last day of the month. That'll be what I would expect. Aaliyah says, will the Christmas Day special on ABC eventually be on Disney Plus? Yes. So the Thanksgiving one and the Christmas Day parade are confirmed for Disney Plus in the United States the day after, which is not much use. Kayla says, expectations do have to be realistic, that comic book movies are going to be niche and budgets have to be lowered. For those that don't follow Marvel, Spider-Man is the only recognizable character to casuals. I think the days of giving Marvel carte blanche to spend as much money as it possibly likes to make it, because it's the billion-dollar goose, are long over. They are drastically going to need to get their budgets under more control. I think there's a lot of things that Marvel could do. I think they're going to have to be a lot smarter on less post-production, trying to fix stuff. I also think there's a lot of stuff that they seem to do with like virtual sets and virtual costumes and stuff, which just seem to be like unnecessary expense because they can do it rather than do they really need to. You know, if you have somebody in a good suit, do they need all the extra stuff on the side? I don't know. And I expect we're going to start seeing a little bit more talking and a little bit less action in some of these films and stuff. And I suspect the Disney Plus series are going to get very much more about characters and series and sort of less big. I can't see how we get a She-Hulk season 2 unless she's literally Jennifer, unless they do the classic 1970s Incredible Hulk thing where she only changes for the last 5 minutes of every episode. Ricardo says, right now, Canada seems to be the only country to have Ghost Rider's Spirit of Revenge. It's only in Spanish and Brazilian dubs, which, fun fact, was not produced by Sony in that region. Oh, interesting. We got some more Wiggles questions from Mr. Jacob. Will the Wiggles movie be on it because it's owned by 20th Century Fox? No, I don't think it will do. It doesn't look like Disney got a lot of interest in doing that with the Wiggles. Barbara Trolling says, will The Simpsons go next day on Disney Plus? You would think that would do. I mean, I think that would be a massive boost. Again, I think when they've got, it depends on the contract they've got with Fox, but it would definitely open things up. And I would imagine it would be easier just to start doing them on both. And you don't need a Hulu subscription, because I think when they've got full control over Hulu, it's going to drastically free them up with less, because it's their own thing then. Aaliyah says, for ratification, they only need 50% plus one, so fingers crossed. Bloney and his insiders believe it will pass, and are upset, and those upset are in a social media bubble. So there's a couple of things there. Matt is, I listen to The Town every time there's a new episode. It's a really good insight into the business. Yeah, I think it's going to go through because I think there's a lot of people that need to work, and it's been off a lot, and there is a anti-AI supplement. Social media can be a bubble and doesn't necessarily always reflect the larger audience. And especially, I would say with Twitter as well, especially, it's all over the place. I don't know what's you just everything on there is either left. There's just everything's so crazy on there. It's getting to the point where you can't actually judge social media because it's like, you know, negative gets more attention on social media, but also the comment section. It's like if you go out for say you go out for lunch tomorrow and it's really good, you might post a picture on your Instagram or on your Facebook and say, I had a really nice picture here. Your friends and stuff are going to be like, yeah, you know, we don't care, but we've done it. I do it myself. If it's really bad, you're going to blast them, and then you might put a bad review on like TripAdvisor or something like that, or on their Facebook page, and it's going to get people rattled up, and other people that are annoyed are going to jump in on it. Negativity just jumps online, and I think that's the big issue for it. Matt says, with Hulu being added in March next year, will the full merger, or do you have to be Hulu? So yeah, the beta sort of starts in December. The full rollout is expected then to happen in March. As to when they might merge the two together, I don't know if they might not do that. I would expect they will do. I would be surprised if they didn't do it either late 2024 or 2025. The big problem is the live aspect of what they want to do with it there. Matt says, oh yeah, we did that one. Do you still, is it you have to pay? So Disney does not do anything for free. That's the key thing with Disney. Expect to pay for everything with Disney. Do you know? If you can get free tap water, which tastes horrible, but the only thing I've been able to get is that's when you're at the theme park, the only thing you're going to get is free water, and it always I remember last time and it was just like you'd have free water and you'd be like, I remember when we were out and like as a tourist, like the tap water just didn't taste right, so we ended up buying bottled water anyway because I couldn't drink the stuff that was at the fountains. Swampy water. Knoxway I feel like Disney Plus needs to slow down the price rises, like how Netflix keeps raising its prices. I think they have all done it now. They cannot. I think if they push any more, they are already at the point of pushing people. They have got all the ad tiers and stuff to get people into them. They cannot push people much further. I think there is a limit of what people are going to pay for, and that's why we're going to start seeing. I think you're going to start seeing some of the small ones starting to crumble fast because you're going to start prioritizing, and you're going to start going, I need Disney Plus, Netflix, and Amazon or Max. So that's 4. Getting rid of AMC Plus, and I'm getting those are the ones that are going to be gone. I would be surprised if AMC Plus and Stars are still around in a year. Kelly says, I know franchise fatigue is real, but remember, many are saying that cost of living is going up, and many people are still iffy on wanting to go cinemas. 100% on both. This is the trouble again with social media. It's like nuance and facts and stuff get lost because there are multiple reasons why people do not go to the cinema. It's the cost of it, the price of going, the availability, the convenience of it. I wanted to go see Wish this week. So here in the UK, my local cinema, it's not on till Friday. It comes out on Wednesday, so I probably would have gone and seen it on Wednesday morning had it been out. It's on once. It's on once on Friday at 5 o'clock after school. No chance I'm going to that one. It's just the wrong time for me. Second of all, I'm not going to go over the weekend because I don't want to go there. I like to, if you're going to go see a movie, especially a kids' film, I tend to go when all the kids are at school because it's quieter. There's no chance I'm going to go see that over the weekend. Had it been on Thursday morning, I'd have loved to have gone and seen it on Thursday morning because with Thanksgiving Day, it would have been it's going to be probably a quiet day for me. Yeah, that was the plan. So that's a bit of an issue. Parking, paying for parking, snacks, the cost of going, and also the cost of going with a family. And suddenly then you're spending a lot of money. And I think a lot of people not need to. How many of us have got big screen TVs at home? If you've got a 55, 65, 75-inch TV with a soundbar, it's in 4K. Really good quality. You ain't getting it. That's a really good quality way of watching it. You're not watching on little television anymore. I think the pandemic speeded that up. And also there are still people that don't like going cinemas, and I think there's other elements of people seem to be less able to. I mean, that's why I don't like going with a huge crowd at the cinemas. Like, well, I tend to go like first thing in the morning. If people are on their phones, people are playing, you might have the kids are watching the kids movie, but the parent is on their phone because they're bored. And it's like, yeah, but I can see your screen is just, and that's really frustrating. Or you've got, it's just this weird thing. I think there's multiple reasons, and there is. I think franchise fatigue is definitely also a thing as well, where I think people are bored of the same old stuff. There's nothing exciting. When you look back at this summer, Indiana Jones, superhero movies, and Transformers and Mission Impossible and the Trolls movie, and even like I mean, I do find it very frustrating a little bit, like with how the box office numbers for the Marvels is awful, but it did the same as the new Hunger Games film, but because that had a lower budget, that gets a pass, even though that it's half or a lot less than the previous Hunger Games one. The Trolls movie's a lot less than the previous ones, but Marvel's gets the clicks. But that's a bug on that one. Ricardo says, I really love the majority of actors' approvals, the new deal. I think that would happen because I perceive everyone just wants to get back to work. And 2026 could see how the deal. I think it's going to go through. Mr. Jacobs says, will the original version of Toy Story 2? No, they ain't going to be putting anything controversial that's going back in. That'll be staying as it is. As regards to a full screen version, I don't think there's a lot of demand for them to put things in like that. And the Albany. What is the Australian movie in Albany? I don't know. I don't know what that one is. Sorry. Matt says, when Disney Plus merges with Hulu, will we get a lot more 20th films added? I would expect we probably will do. Matt says, will we see Gordon Ramsay shows added to Disney Plus on Hulu? I think you'll get the Fox shows. I mean, you've already get the National Geographic ones. So Sina says, does the New Girl deal of Hulu and Peacock end in January as well? I don't know off the top of my head. Aaliyah says, yay, I'm okay. The day after Relieved, they'll be on Disney Plus because I only have streaming. Cannot watch it on ABC. Matt says, do you think Young Avengers will be a show or a movie? I'm leaning on a show right now, actually. I think they're going to skip the movie. I think they're going to look at like what's happened. I think the problem is as well with the Young Avengers is a little bit of what the problem that we've got with that we've had with the Marvels. I think obviously we've got Miss Marvel, Kate Bishop, and Cassie Lang, probably maybe White Vision. We're gonna need they need some males on the team to like maybe Scar or I don't know who or Wiccan, and I don't know if they can do Hulkling. I think that might be a little bit complicated for things. They need a much more broader team to kind of, but I think a TV show will work. Plus, let's be honest, the actors are all much lower down the pecking order, and then they're not in your Scarlett Johansson, what was it, Chris Evans kind of top tier ones. Matt says, will there be a list of shows what's coming to Disney Plus when they add it in December? I hope so. I would hope so, but at the minute, we don't know. Kelly says, the reason I said that Spider-Man is the only character recognizable to casuals since there's an artwork that featured Marvel characters with Mickey and Friends and the latter. I definitely think Spider-Man is up there. I think it is like Batman, Superman, Spider-Man. I would maybe say Captain America and Iron Man and the Hulk are in like maybe tier 2 now. They didn't used to be, but Hulk's been around long enough that he's in there. Wonder Woman, I think they're maybe in category 2. So Cena says, will we see shows like My Wife and Kids, Fresh Off the Boat, Malcolm in the Middle, and Mixed? I would imagine so. I don't know about Mixed-ish. I don't know, does that get deleted? Kayla says, my parents don't follow Marvel, but my mum only recognized Spider-Man on the Marvel side, but she instantly recognized Mickey and Friends. That has something. Yeah, I think with Marvel, there is a case of certain characters are much more well-known. Spider-Man's is big enough that people know about it. There is a case of... But also as well, you've got to remember, like, I mean, certain characters are more established and they've been around longer. I think the Avengers films, I put some of them on there. But someone like Moon Knight or Blue Beetle, I mean, let's be honest, most of us probably weren't even familiar with them a few years ago. Barbara Charlie says, what if Disney hadn't had an actual contract? What Disney Plus would have looked like? I don't quite know what that means. Knoxway says, I think that people actually prefer to watch streaming services rather than going to movies thanks to the pandemic. Definitely, I think so. I think it is a lot more comfortable. I know when I'm sat on my couch in my leather recliner and I've got, got my snacks and I can pause it if I want to go to the loo. I've got the dogs on my lap. I've got a blanket on right now. It's a lot more comfortable than being sat in this rigid little chair that, makes you numb. Because I've been to some lovely cinemas up in London for some events and they are amazing. But my local cinema is not. It's like a bench. It's awful. Matt says, when will we see the assembles of Loki season 2? Oh, it's coming at the end of the month. They have announced that one. I can't remember. I think it's the last Wednesday of the month. Right. On that note, guys, thank you so much for all your questions. I'll be back next week with another Q&A. And so keep a lookout for that on there. Monday through Friday, we'll be doing more episodes of the What's on Disney Plus podcast. There should hopefully be an interview on Saturday next week. If there is, I'll be honest, if there's not a lot of news on Thursday for Thanksgiving, I may do a live stream instead. But I might put that out as a vote and see what people think, because I think it depends on what the news is like. But we'll just have to wait and see. But also, I am looking at Thanksgiving Day as having a little bit of a lighter day myself. I might try and build a Lego set that I've been wanting to build for a while, or catch up with some other work. Because essentially, kind of a weird thing of I might be in the UK, but with America shuts down, it kind of impacts on what I got to do. But yeah, and as Katie said, this week is going to be a little bit quieter. So I might do if I'll decide on Wednesday what happens, but I'll let everybody know. There'll be a bonus one. It won't be taking the place. Right. On that note, guys, thank you very much, and I shall see you guys soon. Laters.